right, everybody. I have another amazing speaker who we're lucky to really, I would say, uncover. Josh, I don't know if you've been on the kind of the rounds of the group dentistry events and all this stuff, but this is our first time having you on stage, virtual stage, and I feel very grateful to have you to tell your story because it's incredible. We've already gone into a little bit, and I'm so impressed. So we have Josh Gwinn, who is the CEO of Hero Practice Services. And so, Josh, welcome, and maybe you can give us a little bit about what Hero does.
Yeah, Jake, appreciate you having me. I mean, first and foremost, thanks for the opportunity. It's really cool to finally connect with you and really with the folks watching. So Hero is a pretty unique model. We do dental, vision, and orthodontics, co-located practices, and we do mostly in underserved communities. So really our mission is, to be that leading provider for those three lines of business in underserved communities. But when I say underserved, I mean, like into the neighborhoods of Baltimore, Washington, D.C. We do in some tougher neighborhoods in Colorado, New Mexico, and we're located all in 7 different states, 7 very unique operating environments, including downtown Los Angeles, some of those areas who have, what they call dental deserts, a little less opportunity. And, the goal for us is to have, the best visit would be where a child comes in with his caregiver and say the first thing they do is they see the optometrist. They get their eyes checked. They finish that because it's a less invasive, obviously. And then they move directly over to hygiene. And they go from hygiene straight to, if they need same day dental care, we do that same day, or into an orthodontic opportunity for that patient.
Absolutely incredible. And so, not only do you have an innovative model going on, so that's very, very innovative. You're working in the underserved communities, which is also layered on top of that. And so you have these two dynamics going on. So coming to the June summit here, the virtual summit with DEO. So if you don't have your tickets yet, come. You're going to hear Josh and a bunch of other incredible speakers. We're going to talk about this interesting idea when you're doing what you do, especially in the neighborhoods that you're in, and dealing with the team members, because you're recruiting team members who understand that probably came from a lot of those neighborhoods as well. Culture and retention and all those things are super important. And what you kind of believe in is also layering on top of that this idea of process. So how do you take something like culture, like training, and create process around that? So you want to give us a little bit about how you think about that. How do you combine
Yeah, absolutely.
process and culture together?
Yeah, the first thing is making sure that folks understand why we do what we do. We've really decided to name, our patients our little bosses, because we want to make no mistake. This isn't about anyone's ego. It's not about me. It's not about the practitioners. This, in the end, is about these underserved kids. And there are millions in our country who need us. So you have to start with that. And it's the first training that a teammate takes when they show up at Hero, is understanding who the boss is, and then understanding what we call Hero's virtuous cycle. You can see it here behind me. And that's really 7 basic steps that it takes for us to be successful. And it starts with seeing a child, literally going out and marketing, community outreach, call center, but starting to get a child and their caregiver to show up at the front doors. And it ends with number 7. We have a commitment from our investor group that we take every dime that's left over and we reinvest it back into building more practices, affiliating with like-minded professionals, and then seeing more kids, and then spinning the cycle over and over. So for teammates who do come from the neighborhoods mostly that we serve, we want them that's a unique talent and ability that they bring. They know exactly our patient base and our clientele. That's their cousins, their friends, the kids they went to school with. And not only that, they also come with some of the same baggage that you might have coming from a really underserved community. So we want to make sure that when they choose to come to Hero, they're not coming here just for a job. They're not clocking a check or looking at us as a stepping stone or an entree into healthcare. They're looking at it as, I get a chance to go and serve and help kids. And we try to expose those traits right away. And for the ones who have it, they lock in. And then we teach them how to express their hero story. What's your hero journey? What is it internally that made you want to help the way that we help kids? And once you expose that for a teammate and they start to share it, it becomes some of the tribal knowledge that you pull in. So we do it very specifically and on purpose. We have a series of conversations and trainings and mentorships with our teammates to make sure that we can pull that out of them and give them that internal reason to push when things are hard, because it's a high volume business and it's deeply intense at times. And you need that extra why when you're coming into an environment like that.
Yeah, I love it. And so we're going to dig into come June. You actually came into a situation where you're experiencing some high turnover, maybe 30% turnover in some areas in the business. And through this very specific process, which you're going to go over, in detail, which is kind of the way you look at training, the way you look at coaching, the way you look at training team members to have conversations. You're able to take that retention, down, or the retention up to 94%, from 70%, or you're losing 30% of people, down to 6%. So we're going to go over kind of the specific, I guess, game plan you created to improve the way your team was sticking around. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. And just for shock value, Jake, we actually were losing 70% of a certain demographic. Oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
bloodshed, and it was
Yeah.
terrible. And it was through a very specific, very purpose driven kind of process that we went in and exposed a lot of the things that were causing the turnover. Because again, I'm a firm believer that nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to go and be terrible at my job. I'm just going to, clock it in. We give them reasons to not want to be with us and to not give their all, or we give them reasons to give their all. We focused on what we were doing that was causing some of the negativity, and we stopped and changed those things to the best of our ability, and then focused on what would it take, especially for our providers, for this to be the job of your dreams. You don't get into pediatric Medicaid unless you want to help. So let's find out what we're doing to prevent you from being able to help at the highest of your ability. And that made a massive difference. To your point, we went to 6% provider turnover for a trailing 24 months now. It's been fantastic.
Wow. So if this is what you're interested in, retaining team members, cultures, if you're acquiring offices and some of the offices you acquire, you've got a culture kind of turnaround situation going on, or overall you just want to improve the retention of your team, both providers and non-clinical, join us for the June Summit. We've got Josh Gwinn here, and we're going to hear a little bit more about Hero. I think it's a pretty cool model, and along with all kinds of other speakers. So click below, come join us, come say hello, and Josh, we'll see you in just a few months here.
Looking forward to it, Jake. Again, thanks for having me. Real pleasure to finally get to meet you and to spend some time. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.